morning and welcome all the dignitaries and participants. Human Resource Development Center, Government of India, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Pune, Maharashtra, under Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching, under which Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College, Karar, Maharashtra, an autonomous college, organizes online one-week faculty development program under Paramarsh RUSA on the topic Research Methodology and Data Analysis. On this occasion, I'd like to welcome all the dignitaries and participants. I'd like to welcome the chief guest of this inaugural function, Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti, Professor and Head Department of Economics, Karnataka University, Dharwad.
Thank you very much.
I also like to welcome the President of this function, Dr. Mohan Rajmani Sahib, Principal of Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College, Karar. At the outset, I would like to invite Dr. Girish Kalyan Shetty, Coordinator, Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College, Karar, for introductory speech. Dr. Girish Kalyan Shetty.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very good morning to all of you. The chief guest for the inaugural function of this FDP, Honorable Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti, Professor, Head, Department of Economics, Karnataka University, Dharwad, Honorable Principal of this college, Dr. Mohan Rajmani Sahib, the Coordinator of this FDP, Dr. A.K. Patil, all the respected members of the organizing committee of FDP, all the respected vice principals of this college, Professor N.R. Suryavanshi, Mrs. M.B. Kamble, Sri S.A. Patil, as well as Honorable Director of HRDC, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune, and all the respected delegates across the country. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to greet you at this inaugural function of this faculty development program organized under the certification of HRD Center, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. First of all, on behalf of HGM College, Karar, and Autonomous College, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. This FDP is organized under UGC Paramarsh scheme. I am very happy to bring to your notice that this college has availed UGC Paramarsh scheme, under which we have been conducting various quality-driven activities related to NAC aspects. Up till now, we have carried out national seminars, national workshops, conferences, guest lectures, and today's FDP is one of the instances. For this inaugural ceremony of this FDP, we have an eminent personality with us, Professor Dr. Bagalkoti from Dharwad. I take this opportunity to introduce his scholarship to all of you. Dr. Siddhappa Bagalkoti was born in 1966 and is currently serving as a professor in the PG Department of Economics of Karnataka University, Dharwad. He is a member of Academic Council as well as the director of IQAC, Karnataka University, Dharwad. He has been teaching to PG students for the last 32 years. He has served as the chairman, Department of Economics during 2012 to 2014 and as a coordinator of UGC SAT in Economics since 2012. He has successfully guided 21 PhDs, 8 MPhil, and 40 master's dissertations. He has edited a book and published more than 60 papers. He is a resource person to train the PU, the UG and PG teachers, NET-SET aspirants, research scholars, elected representatives, and other development functionaries. He has delivered endowment lectures, keynote addresses, invited talks, and chaired technical sessions at various national seminars and conferences. Till now, he has organized 15 academic events at international and state levels. I am very happy to bring to your notice that he has completed 14 research projects relating funded by the World Bank, European Union, UGC, ICSSR, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of Karnataka, Jilla Panchayats, Karnataka University, and others. He is on the statutory boards of universities across the country and public service commissions as well as various advisory committees. He was on the district level statistics monitoring committee and the textbook revision committee of Government of Karnataka. He is on the editorial boards of few national and international journals. He is a life member of professional and organizations including the Indian Society of Agriculture Economics, Indian Society of Labour Economics, Asian Population Association, Karnataka Economic Association, Indian Institute of Public Administration, Public Stabilization, etc. He is a member of Executive Committee of Indian Economic Association. He is also on the governing board of International Organization for Collaborative Outcome Management, Canada. Till now, he has assisted the university administration in many capacities and has worked actively with NAC, IQAC, and Triple E committees of Karnataka University, Dharwad, and other universities within and outside the state. It is indeed a great pleasure for all of us to have you, Dr. Bagalkoti sir, for this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kalyan Shetty. May I now request our principal, Dr. Mohan Rajmani Sahib, to address the participants.
A very good morning to one and all. Chief guest for this faculty development program, Honorable Dr. S.P. Bagalkoti sir, Professor and Head, Department of Economics, Karnataka University, Dharwad. Dr. Girish Kalyan Shetty sir, IQAC coordinator of my college. Dr. A.K. Patil sir, coordinator of this FDP, vice principals, and all the respected delegates and friends. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to meet you at this inaugural function of FDP organized under the certification of HRD Center of Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. First of all, I extend a warm welcome to one and all. I am very happy to mention here, in this FDP program, more than 220 participants from 11 different states in India are participated. I feel proud to mention here a few things about my college. This is a NAC accredited college with A plus grade, having 3.63 CGPA. We have been conferred autonomy by University Grant Commission from June 2019. The adjunct college is a RUSA beneficial college with component 8. This college is established in 1954, and now this is the biggest college in the jurisdiction of Shivaji University, Kolhapur, has been imparting education to more than 13,000 students. College offers diversified programs such as conventional, non-conventional, as well as professional modes. Taking into account the academic standard, NAC has designated our college as a mentor college. We also the beneficiary of UGC RUSA Permanency Scheme, and under this scheme, we have been organizing various national events on NAC related issues. For this purpose, colleges identified 9 different colleges from the vicinity as a mentor colleges for whom we are striving to raise their academic standard through this UGC Paramarsh scheme. This FDP is organized by accuracy of our college on the theme of research methodology and data analysis. Friends, all of you know that in NET SSR, the criteria number 3, entitled Research, Innovation and Extension, plays an important role. The criteria addresses the issue of research outputs, innovation, invention, and incubation activities along with extension activities. Research methodology simply refers to the practical how of any given piece of research. More especially, it's about how a researcher systematically designed a study to ensure valid and reliable results that addresses the research aims and objectives. A good research methodology provides scientifically sound findings, whereas poor research doesn't it. This aspect has been highlighted in this faculty development program that will run for the next 6 days. Today, we have an eminent personality with us, Dr. Bagalkoti sir, as a chief guest at this inaugural function. We are very eager to listen to him. Once again, I welcome all of you and wish you all the best luck for this FDP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Principal Sir, for your valuable address. May I now request to the chief guest of this inaugural function, Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti Sir, to inaugurate this faculty development program and address the participants. Dr. S.T. Bagalkoti, Professor and Head, Department of Economics.
Sir, I hope I am audible. Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College, Karad, and Human Resource Development Center, Savitribai Phule University, Pune, have jointly organized a 1-week FDP on research methodology. And we are all in the inaugural session. First of all, Principal Dr. Mohan Rajmane sir, Director HRDC Pune, Coordinator of the IQAC of the college, Dr. Girish Kalyan Shetty, Coordinator of the FDP, Dr. A.K. Patil, all the teachers of the Gadge College, esteemed resource persons, participants who have joined from across the country, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be part of this FDP, which is organized in an online mode. Of course, the pandemic has taught us many things, and as teachers, we also have risen to the occasion, not necessarily the health workers, not necessarily the administrative staff, but teachers have also risen to the occasion and have tried to hold the flag of teaching, learning at a higher level so that the teaching or the learning doesn't stop. And if you read some of the reports conducted by various agencies, they show that the pandemic has resulted in constrained learning. That is to say, how much the students were expected to learn, how much performance they were expected to make in terms of understanding of the subjects and in terms of developing the skills, that has not happened. But anyway, whatever has happened, it is squarely because of the teachers' efforts. We all immediately switched over from offline mode to online mode and tried our level best. And in many institutions, especially in the rural and semi-urban institutions, there was no training for the teachers. There was no technological background. And there were many constraints. Within all these constraints, the teachers prepared the content, maybe downloaded content, then converted them into lectures, shared it across the platforms to the students, and saw to it that the students did not feel that they were deserted during this pandemic period. So at the outset, I salute all the teachers for having taken all these troubles. And secondly, I also salute the Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College principal and staff for having taken the struggle or trouble to conduct this FDP. Of course, they have conducted many programs earlier, and this is another important program they are conducting for training the teachers on various aspects of the research methodology. And I went through the various teachers and the variety of topics they are going to cover. And the whole program is so designed as to equip the learner for every aspect of the research methodology. And by the end of the course, I'm sure that the participants will be very happy because they will take home all the aspects relating to how to do research, how to prepare a proposal, how to write a project report, etc. In other words, they will be tuned not only to be researchers, but also to be guides for their prospective students. So I take this opportunity once again to acknowledge the efforts made by the Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College staff for having taken this all together. And we know that learning is a continuous process, and we continue to learn in variety of ways, in variety of platforms. And this is how we have been brought together by the Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College staff. So I am very happy to inaugurate this particular program. And I also wish that all of you are hooked regularly and continuously for the various lectures and derive the best possible advantage of this. And of course, under the UGC Paramarsh and the RUSA scheme, the program is being conducted. This also shows that how the college is making good use of its resources, not only for its benefit, but also for the benefit of various institutions around it, and also various people who are linked to this particular college. So I once again thank the authorities for having thought me as a fit person to be inaugurating this session and making me part of this. I once again wish all of you all the best for your things. Now I have been given a dual role to inaugurate this particular program and also deliver a lecture on identification of research problem. So Kalyan Shetty sir, with your permission, may I now go to my presentation?
Please, sir, please.
We are
okay.
eager to listen to you, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Now I will share my screen on identification of the research problem. It will be for about 30 minutes or so. And later on, we may have some time for discussion if there are any queries from the participants. And okay, I will just share my presentation. I think the screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the topic given to me in the inaugural session is identifying a research problem. Now let me make it very clear that since I am from economics background, most of the examples or the approach that I'm adopting is from a social science research perspective. Therefore, it may not be very near to the people from science, but anyway, we'll try to make it up during the discussion time. Okay. So the objectives of this particular presentation are to describe the phases of the research process, identify the sources of research problems, describe the process of formulating a research problem, and lastly, to describe the elements of a researchable problem. Now, all problems that we confront in academics or in our day-to-day life do not need rigorous research. Therefore, if a problem is to be researchable, what should it should contain? That is the ultimate message of this particular session. Okay. Now, first to begin with, what is research and what are the stages of research? Just as the elementary understanding. So, research is defined as a structured inquiry that utilizes acceptable scientific methodology to solve problems and create new knowledge that is generally applicable. So it is a structured inquiry which uses an well accepted methodology for the purpose of solving problems and creating new knowledge. And this solution to the problems and the new knowledge is generally applicable or generally acceptable to everyone. It is not that it's only applicable to the area or to the sample that it has been studied, but it is generally valid and generally acceptable. And another important aspect of research is that it uses a scientific method. Research itself is a scientific activity. When we say science, it implies that we are using objective methods, we are using reliable techniques, and we are making valid conclusions in whatever process we are going through. So scientific method is adopted, which consists of systematic observation, collection of the information, and classification of that information, which is also called as data, and interpreting it either to our theoretical background or to the context to which we are making the study. So the interpretation is related to the theoretical background which you have chosen, or the domain in which you are working, or the problem to which we are referring to. So the research is based on the use of scientific method, that we should remember. And of course, the difference between our casual day-to-day generalization and the conclusions usually recognize the scientific method depends on the degree of formality, rigorousness, verifiability, and general validity. So research is a more formal activity. It's based on sequential steps. It's a systematic activity. It is also rigorous. Rigorous means we ensure that the degree of error is as less as possible, whether it is in selection of the sample, whether it is in collection of data, whether it is in testing the data for its significance. We try to minimize the error as to the least possible as possible. So rigorousness. Verifiability means whatever method we adopt. For example, a scientist, he creates an experiment. That experiment should be capable of replication elsewhere. So it should be verifiable not only by himself at a later stage, but also by other researchers at different points of time. And the conclusions arrived at, they should be generally valid, they should be generally acceptable, generally applicable. So this is how our day-to-day observation and research differ. Of course, one thing is sure, that research flows or starts from our observation only. But observation and research, they are different based on the degree of formality, the degree of rigorousness, verifiability, and the general validity of the findings. So having understood what is research, then what is social science research? And we all know social sciences deal with the study of society and relationships among individuals within the society, how individuals interact. It may be social dimension, it may be political dimension, it may be economic dimension, it may be psychological dimension. So how in varied dimensions the individuals interact. Of course, I have mentioned about some disciplinary domains, but any behavior or any interaction of individual may be mixture of all these three, because when we go to market, it's not merely we transact in terms of rupees, but we also transact in terms of relationships. So social relationships, psychological relationships, we transact. So that mixture is particularly there. So social science squarely studies these various interactions between individuals in a society, and it includes a whole a large number of disciplines which you very well know. And social science research provides authentic information to the social research to the people that are scientifically proven, so that the end users can rely upon it. So since research is a scientific activity, a systematic activity, whatever conclusions we derive can be used by the society and by the government or by the civil society organizations to take the things forward and make life easier for the people. And it helps in finding solutions to different social problems that we all know. And it focuses on the fact that we are able to find the root cause of the problem, we can find more effective solutions to it. So there are many problems which the people face in their day-to-day life. And if we can identify what is the root of the problem, definitely we can find a solution. That is what is the basis of social research. So this particular slide summarizes the different types of research. Research is classified in a variety of ways. So based on three different criteria, we can classify research: based on application, based on objectives, and based on mode of inquiry. So based on application, there is pure research and applied research. Again, it's a very elementary kind of classification. Pure is where the research is conducted for the sake of the knowing something, for the sake of knowledge. It's a theoretical, or in a very generic sense, it's a theoretical research. Whereas applied research refers to use of that knowledge or use of any knowledge existing to solve the day-to-day or apply it to the day-to-day activities, day-to-day problem. And usually a combination of the two is adopted. So it's neitherly purely a theoretical study, not purely an applied study. It is a combination of the two, because when we talk of application, we should know how the theory works. So therefore, it is a combination of the two. Based on objectives, research can be descriptive, which describes the things as it is. Correlational, which shows the type and degree of association, whether two phenomena are associated with each other, whether they move together, whether they move in opposite direction, whether they are not related at all. So how the pandemic and inflation are related, how ill health and the employment and unemployment are related. So do they move together, or is there what kind of relationship between the two? That could be studied in correlational, wherein we only establish association, not causation. Causation is done in the third type of research, explanatory, where we explain the relationships between two phenomena, two or more phenomena, to be very specific, two or more variables. For example, I said ill health and employment, employment and wages, wages and poverty, money supply and inflation, fiscal deficit and inflation. So when we try to find out what kind of relationship is there between two or different variables, whether it's a direct relationship, whether there's inverse relationship, which is the cause factor, which is the effect factor, how to what extent the cause factor is result for it causes the effect factor. This is called as explanatory. We explain a phenomenon based on its causes. Then fourth one is exploratory, and as the name suggests, if very little research is done on any aspect, and if no research is done on any aspect, if we take it up for the first time or try to find out what exactly is the problem, then that is called as exploratory research. And because now with the growth of the knowledge, exploratory studies are very few. But of course, in the cutting edge areas, for example, we say application of machine learning in economics or to social sciences, application of artificial intelligence in social sciences, that's an exploratory area where we can take up as to how it affects the behavior of the people, etc. So these are the four kinds of researches based on objectives. And in practice, most studies use a combination of the first three categories. So we use the a combination of the first three categories, that is descriptive, correlation, explanatory studies. And based on mode of inquiry, we can classify research as quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative is where the numerical data is collected, where the information is in numbers, is measurable in strict numerical terms, in dimensions, maybe in numbers, in kgs, in liters, or in whatever units of measurement you have, that is quantitative. And therefore it is more structured in nature, because we need to have uniform measurement. It is more structured in nature. Then we have qualitative research, which is unstructured. Qualitative is where we get non-numerical information, say like on attitudes, on opinions, etc. That is qualitative research. Both of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, and usually we adopt a combination of research. Now, one point which I want to state at this moment is research is like an orchestra. It is not a situation where a single instrument is played. That is where there is a mono singer without any instruments. So if there are many instruments and if orchestra is played, how melodious the music will be. In the same manner, when you combine methods, when you combine approaches, then research becomes more meaningful and more effective. That is why we usually adopt combination of techniques, combination of methods, and combination of approaches. That is the thing. Now, when we talk of the research process is as I mentioned earlier, is a systematic process, is a stepwise process. Now, there are two important decisions to make as far as research process is concerned. First question is, what is that you want to find out about? So this is where your formulation of research problem comes. Choice of research problem and formulation of research problem comes. So what are your research questions? And to what questions you are going to find answers. So it squarely tries to answer the question where you intend to go, what questions you intend to answer, what problems you intend to solve. That is the first question which you want to answer. So once you decide on what you want to find out or what questions you want to answer, next one is how are you going to find out answers to these questions? What is your approach? What are your practical steps in finding answers to these research questions? This is where the research methodology comes. So research methodology is a collection of tools which are adopted to find out answers for the questions which you have raised in the first step. So how to go, what are the steps, are the major sub questions that are involved here. So this is where the knowledge base of research methodology plays a crucial role. And I'm a firm believer that you may have read research methodology, you may have guided students, you may have conducted independent research projects, but still we have to keep, refreshing our knowledge on research methodology. That should be a continuous process. And one more thing, practice is more important than mere knowing. That means whatever number of lectures research methodology, whatever number of books we read on research methodology, but actual practice is more effective than merely listening to lectures or merely reading books. So once you do that, please take up a minor activity, maybe studying a problem in our area and trying to bring it out in the form of a research article also. Therefore, practice whatever you learn in terms of research methodology. Now, research process is usually displayed as a sequential steps. And of course, different books and different sources give different steps. But anyway, this is this picturization shows how many general steps are there in research process. So I have put here 9 steps in the research just to make it to look uniform. You can add a number of steps in between. You can delete some steps. But anyway, these tell us what kind of activities are involved in the research process. So we start with formulating of research problem. Then we conduct extensive literature related to that problem. And remember, even for selecting a problem, literature review is needed. Then to justify that problem, literature review is needed. But anyway, literature review is taken as the second step. Then after you review the literature, based on the gaps, Based on what you want to find out, you develop the objectives. Then based on the objectives, you select the variables, indicators, etc. And based on that, you prepare your research design, which includes your sample design, your data collection design, and your analytical design. That means plan of actualizing your research objectives. You have formed the objectives, how you are going to attain those objectives, that you decide in your fourth step. That is, when you prepare research plan, that is where it is decided. So once you select the sample, once you select the data collection tool, whether it is questionnaire, whether it is schedule, whether it is interview, whether it is focus group discussion, whether it is participatory technique like rural rapid appraisal, etc. So you start collecting the data. And you usually in social sciences, we call it as field work. We conduct the field work to collect data. Of course, not in all cases field work is there. You can also collect data from the libraries where only secondary data is involved. You can collect from libraries or from the internet, etc. So the fifth step is collecting data. So once you collect the data, the next step is processing and analysis of data. So the information, whatever you collect, is a big heap, and not all of it is useful, nor all of it is in uniform manner, not all of it is comparable. And to retain only that which is useful, to make the data comparable, to make it amenable to the analysis, we process it. Processing involves coding, processing involves cleaning of data, processing involves tabulation. So we prepare the data for analysis. And once we prepare that, the next step is analysis of data. Analysis of data can be descriptive. You can prepare tables and go on explaining, or you can adopt statistical techniques. Maybe you use simple descriptive statistical tools, or you use inferential statistical tools, or use advanced mathematical and statistical models, use econometrics. So you can do the analysis. And analysis you can do manually as well as mechanically. Now, with the help of computers and many software, analysis has become very, very easy. For what type of data, what type of tools are there, what type of software is there, what kind of results we get, we all should learn and try to do that. So once we analyze the data, we get some results, we get some values. Now those values need to be interpreted. For example, if I say that the causation between money supply and inflation is say 0.4, that means when money supply increases by 1%, the price rises by 0.4%. So how do I explain that? How do I relate it to the theory? How do I relate it to the present situation? That is called as interpretation. So interpretation and generalization. Based on that, we prepare and present the data ultimately. So we prepare the report, and after preparation of report, and you all know, the data has to be disseminated. Either you've published it in the form of books or in the form of research papers, or you present in many conferences, research papers, etc. So that completes the research process. So right from the conception of a problem to dissemination of the results, it carries the research process. Now I come to the research problem. So research problem, we know problem is any difficulty or a discomfort, usually discrepancy between what should be and what actually is. We say that this has, our theory says, or our experience says, or our customs say, or our tradition say, or our knowledge says. So theory, our experience, our customs, our traditions, they say this should be the thing, but it is not actually so. So when there is discrepancy between what should be and what actually is, that creates some discomfort and a problem, which makes us inquisitive to understand that. And is a situation which seeks a solution or answer. See, despite 70 years, we have not been able to solve the problems of deprivation, to the problems of poverty, to the problems of ill health, etc. So why have you not done this? This is a question which needs to be answered. Despite so many problems, we are not able to reach the last person on the last mile. We are not been able to include everyone in the development process. Why it is not so? So such kind of situations, they seek answers, therefore continuous research. But remember, not every perceived difficulty warrants researchability. I mean, not every problem requires rigorous research. Some can be simply observed, and some can be simply explained. They do not require significant research. For example, even if we provide all the facilities, a person may not do well with scholarships, with distribution of free textbooks, with distribution of free gadgets, laptops, etc. Even if the student does not perform, we can simply say why it is so. It doesn't require rigorous research. But if a particular segment of population does not do well, then it requires research. So therefore, some problems do not require any serious research, because with just possible observation and explanation, we can do that. But others and many others may have known solutions. And what is needed is to select or to decide upon what solutions to use and in what way it can solve the problem. Out of the available number of solutions, for example, should we use DBT? Should we give subsidies? Should we give them employment through MG Narega, etc.? So what kind of solution will help the people to move above the poverty line? So which solution is more effective? So only choice of existing solutions may be there. And for that, again, not rigorous research is required. And a research problem is usually expressed as a question or a statement, and which requires into or which inquires into or deals with relationships existing between two or more variables. So when we formulate research problem, we pose it as a problem or we pose it as a relationship between two or more variables. So therefore, research problem is one wherein we experience a problem and which we try to solve, find out solutions. Now, the first step being research identification with such problem. It is said that well begun is half done. That means if we are successful in choosing a proper research problem, then much of the future activity will be quite easier for us. So therefore, the process of identification of problem has to be taken very, very seriously. Of course, every step has to be taken seriously, but right from beginning, if you are serious, then many of the future steps subsequent. And identification of the research problem refers to awareness of the prevalent social problem, social phenomenon, or a concern which is worth study, wherein it requires to be understood, it requires to be investigated. And researcher identifies such a problem through observation, knowledge, wisdom, and skills. How does a researcher identify that? Through his observation. He has to be an astute observer. Then through his knowledge. So based on whatever he has read, whatever he has listened to, or whatever he has seen, he can do that based on his wisdom and based on his skills. These are the things where he can do this. And a systematic process of inquiry focused on uncovering the knowledge, new knowledge to help understand phenomenon, answer the questions, or address problem is what is the objective of the research. Identify the research problem. Where are the sources of research problem? It's a challenging task. Not that there is lack of issues. There is lack of issues that could be investigated, but the problem is it's not that there is lack of issues that could be investigated, but due to the formulating an academically relevant and research problem which is unique and does not simply duplicate the work of others. So research is a continuous activity, is being taken up at various places. So it should not be a repetition of what has already been done, and it is a duplicate of what other people are doing, or the sources of research problem as follows. Firstly, the research problems can be deduced from your theory. So in your respective domains, you have a number of theories. For example, in economics, we have consumer behavior, we have producer behavior, we have market conditions, then we have development economics, then we have international trade, we have public finance, we have welfare economics. So there are a number of domains and there are a number of theories in each of these domains which explain the relationship between various variables. So from these theories, definitely we can identify the research problem. For example, if you want to study what is the reason for poverty, then in development economics, there is a theory called as percolation theory or trickle down theory. So that I can use as a beginning of my research journey. I can try to test whether trickle down theory is operating or not, whether percolation has happened or not. That we can do. That is the first source. Second one is interdisciplinary perspective. That means, it means to say that we need to draw analogy from other disciplines and try to apply it to our own discipline. And any solution requires, any problem requires a holistic solution, not a solution from your own disciplinary perspective. So for example, a social phenomenon, as I said earlier, has a political angle, has an economic angle, has a psychological angle, has many dimensions. Now, these dimensions have to be looked into while identifying a particular problem. For example, if a community is backward, it is not only because it is economically poor, it is backward, but if it is politically not represented properly, then also it may be backward. If it is socially downtrodden, then also it may be backward. So we need to identify the causes from those things and try to find out a problem. Then the third one and most important one is interviewing practitioners. So there are people working in the field. There may be administrators, there may be NGO people, or there may be people who are working in the area. These are the experts. So these experts could be interacted with, they can be interviewed, and some some insights can be drawn so that we can identify a problem. And the fourth one is your own personal literature, your own personal experience. So based on in your day-to-day observation, in your journey of life, you could have identified yourself, faced a number of problems. And from these problems, you can definitely choose one problem for your research, which is relevant to the society and in which you are also interested. And fifth, again, is most important, is relevant literature, wherein, as I mentioned earlier, because it should not duplicate, because it should use the suitable concepts, suitable theories, it has to be based on literature. And why do we review the literature? Just to ensure that we do not duplicate and we fill any gaps in the literature. We fill any gaps in the knowledge that is already created. For that purpose, we review the literature. Then the earlier knowledge might have used a number of methodologies. Now, whether these methodologies were right, and because the methodology was wrong, whether a solution also was wrong. So how we can reform that, how we can improvise upon that. So for that purpose also, to know the methodology, to improve the methodology, we need to review the literature and determine if the study could be replicated in different subject area or applied in different contexts. For replication of the study, say for example, if DBT has worked well in case of farmers, whether it can be applied to other segments of the population also. If distribution of free kits has helped in some part of the country, can it be helpful in other parts of the country? For example, the International Poverty Alliance Lab, headed by our own Abhijit Banerjee, Esther Duffler, etc., that they have been doing such kind of experiments throughout the world, replicating the experiences. But in each location, they find different insights, and based on that, they derive different solutions. So to determine whether it could replicate also, you need to do the literature. And very generally, we say we need to look at 4 P's. What are those 4 P's? Personal experience, I already mentioned, people, then that is the experts, then phenomena. So you are observing a number of phenomena. For example, pandemic is a phenomena. And let me remind you that during the time of pandemic, maximum number of papers have been published on variety of, on all domains. And publication agencies have been flooded with articles in the pandemic period. So phenomena itself can be taken as the topic of study. Then problems, of course, these are the 4 P's which you can look into. Then the immediate national and societal concerns. For example, Government of India announced Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, how it could be suggested. Now they have floated what is called as the national monetization pipeline. What could be its, the doubling of farmers' income, 5 trillion economy. Also, all these things are the issues for research. So how these could be achieved and what could be done. Then technological changes is another area. Now, as I said earlier, we're moving to machine learning, the artificial intelligence, etc. How is it going to affect our lives, our teaching, maybe agriculture, maybe small scale industries, maybe small business, say because of online trading, how are the small retailers affected? So all these things would be points of research. Then most important person is your own research guide. The research guide can, because if he's already working on a topic, he can ask you, he can ask you to continue, or he can ask you to choose a related area. So your guide. And one most important thing is, please become aware of your own surroundings. So if you are observative, if you're keen observing your surroundings, then you can find an acre of diamonds in your own backyard. There may be a number of problems which needs rigorous research. So please look at your own backyard and please try to identify the problems. You have to be inquisitive and you have to be imaginative. So inquisitiveness and imaginativeness are, again, imagination is not like the poets, etc., but based on the problems, based on your own wisdom, based on your experience, what you're imagining can result into a very good research problem. And once we identify a problem, how do we define it? How do you define it? And it is really a difficult problem because many people do not know how to start. And as a result, many times some of the people drop the research, but that need not be the case. So instead of being discouraged, it is necessary to define the research topic or a problem and narrow it down so as to make it manageable. So what you have to do? So first, you select your outline, your areas of interest. What are your areas of interest? Maybe in your theory or your surroundings or your problems, whatever it is, you outline the areas of interest, then choose a topic. Out of those areas of interest, choose one topic. Then topic may be broader, then you further narrow down your topic. So as to make it manageable. Then identify a research problem. Think how it can be converted, how that particular topic can be converted into a research problem. And once you identify the research problem, then state your objectives. What research objectives, what are research questions you want to answer, what objectives you want to achieve, that you can please there. So when you are taking, the next step is when you are trying to formulate research questions or statements, and as I said, from the broad area to the more specific issues, you are transitioning from those things. And problem should be compelling topic, it should be motivating, it should arouse curiosity in you, and you should feel important. Okay. Then you should also support multiple perspectives. That means a problem could be approached from different angles. So multiple perspectives could be done that. And research, it should be researchable, depending upon your resources, depending upon your understanding, depending upon your tools. The research could be, the problem could be researchable in the sense there should be data, there should be tools to analyze those various things. Okay, so the remaining thing I will not just focus. I will share the PPT with the organizers. You can just look into. And how to define a problem is the major question. And one thing is, once you identify the problem, you have to clearly define the major concepts or terms. So the concepts and terms should be from your disciplinary domain. That is a compulsory aspect. Once you define the major concepts of terms, then you try to limit the scope of the study in terms of issues or concepts, because every issue we cannot cover. So what are the most important or pertinent issues? Try to limit. Then area and coverage, you better understand it. Then the subjects or respondents, we call it as sample. So try to restrict. Then period of time, in what period of time you want to complete the research, because as researchers, we have our own limitations. We need to understand our limitations and we need to define. Then what kind of data that we're going to collect, qualitative, quantitative, or a combination of the two. So in this process, you can identify sub-problems, and for each sub-problems, you can do this particular exercise. And each sub-problem should be a completely researchable unit that we should remember. Now here I have given just a simple description. For example, if food insecurity has to be investigated, then what is the cause for food insecurity? Is low food production. And low food production can be due to two reasons: low labor productivity and low land productivity. There may be many, but I have chosen only two just for demonstration. Then coming to land productivity, The land productivity can be due to unsuitable climate, due to water scarcity, due to unsuitable crops, or due to poor soil. And low labor productivity may be due to unskilled labor. So these can be the causes. And the next kind of linkage, when we say water scarcity may be due to inefficient irrigation or inefficient water harvesting. Then unsuitable crops may be because of lack of crop varieties adapted to the local climate. Then poor soil may be due to farming patterns which do not use use good nutrients. Then or farmers cannot afford fertilizers. Farmers unaware of best practices. So what I have tried to do is I have to try to ask a question and try to provide a possible answer for that. So based on which I can choose some of the variables which I can measure, which I can relate, and which I can ultimately say these are the reasons for low food production and therefore food insecurity in a particular area. So this is called as a problem tree. Yeah. So issue in problem trees, we need to keep asking questions at every stage so that we can identify concepts, we can identify variables, we can identify indicators, so that we can try to frame better research questions for ourselves. So once you do that, then ask yourself to locate your research problem of your thesis, ask such questions as what was the issue problem you want to study? What is the concern being addressed by the study? Why do you want to address the study, and why this is important for the scholarly community? To make your research relevant, you need to ask these various questions, and you need to terms which we usually face. Research topic is a broad subject matter being addressed. Research problem is derived from the research topic. It's an issue or problem in a study. Purpose or objectives, it is the major intents or the objectives. Then research questions based on your objectives, what you want to answer in your study. And if the problem is to be researchable, then there are certain features of a researchable problem. And if the features of research problem are like this, it should be feasible. It's based on your capability, based on your resources, you should be capable of research into. That is what I mean to say. It should be interesting. Any research problem should arouse interest not only in you, but also in others. Then only it's a good research problem. It should be novel. It should not be a repetition. It confirms, refutes, or extends previous.
हा सर, आवाज नाही येत का तुमचा? हॅलो हॅलो. नाही, त्यांना डझन करायला. स्पॉटलाइट करेल तुमचं बाहेरच पडलं ना. पाटील सर, हॅलो पाटील सर, अनम्यूट करा सर.
हॅलो, येतोय?
हा सर, ते सर जरा बाहेर पडले वाटतं, त्याचं नेट डिस्कनेक्ट झालंय. बघू आपण जॉईन करतो.
ओके 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 सर. वोट ऑफ थँक्स करू ना सर. हॅलो हॅलो,
सर येस सर, पण त्यांचं लेक्चर अजून संपलं नव्हतं सर, ते नेटवर्क डिस्कनेक्ट झालं त्यांचं.
चालेल बघूया. वी विल वेट
सर. सर्च करा, त्यांना मिळाले तुम्हाला तर स्पॉटलिस्ट. तर फोन लावता का त्यांना?
येस येस. बोरसे सर.
हा सर, बघूया सिद्धी.
Sir, continue please.
नाही आले सर, डिस्कनेक्ट होतं त्यांचं. पाटील सर फोन लावते त्यांना.
Borse, I have called him. He is joining now. Yes.
Okay sir, I will wait.
Yes, sir. Bagalkoti sir, please continue.
Sir, I will make co-host sir. Sir, please continue sir. Please share the file. Sir, unmute करा sir.
Yeah, please unmute me.
हाँ sir, yes sir.
Muted now. Yeah.
Yes. You are audible.
Okay. Yes. Actually, this was my last slide. A researchable problem is that when there are no known answers or solutions, so that there is a gap in the knowledge exists. So we should ensure that when you frame a research problem, there is a gap, and we should justify that gap everywhere. And when a reviewer checks your thesis, checks the thesis of a student, the first thing he looks is into what gap is there and how it has been justified. The second one is there are possible solutions, the effectiveness of which is not yet known. Yes, there are solutions, but the effectiveness of it needs to be established. Now that you are trying to find out, that is what is another reason. And there are answers or solutions, the possible result of which may be factually contradicting, maybe or may not be factually contradicting. You want to establish what results are better and what results are not. So that is why you need to make the research problem researchable. There are several possible or plausible explanations of the undesirable conditions. If the condition is undesirable, there are many factors, but which factor is the most important one you want to establish? And then there are several phenomena which requires a solution. Then also the research problem is researchable. I mean to say, overall, we need to ensure that the problem is relevant, important, problem is novel, problem tests the existing knowledge, and problem extends the existing knowledge, and problem, it tries to identify which is better, which is more desirable. So in that way, the problem becomes interesting. In that way, we need to prepare all the problems. So I thank you all for listening to me patiently, and I wish you the best of a research career. Now I stop, and if there are any queries, I'll be willing to take. I'll be stopping my screen sharing and coming back to the main screen. Yes, Professor Patil, if there are any questions, I'm ready to. So I think Dr.
Patil sir, unmute kara.
Has raised his hand.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Sir, what?
Borse sir, Dr. Jain is asking some questions. Unmute him.
Sir, namaskara. Sir, namaste.
Jain,
Sir, namaskara. Dr. Jaina BR, Assistant Professor of History, Government First Year College, Chamarajanagar, Karnataka, sir.
Okay.
ನನ್ನೊಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, ಈಗ ನಾವು ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ.
Sir, can you speak in because there are people from other states, so you please speak in, or you ask, I'll translate it to English. No.
Okay. ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ನ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್, ಬುಕ್ ಎಡಿಟ್, ಕಾಲ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಸರ್? ಅದು ಬುಕ್ ಎಡಿಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಕಾಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂಚೂರು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
Yes, yes. Excuse me, Dr. Jayanna from Chamarajnagar wants to know what's the difference between call for papers for seminar and for paper for edited volumes. Now, edited volumes, they address a specific problem, and since it goes as a document, the research, the paper have to be very, very authentic and very systematic. So it should be pakka in all the sense. That is for edited volumes. But for seminars, the papers should be scientific. I don't deny that, but they need not be pakka. In the sense, in the seminar, on the conferences, the paper is presented for the purpose of discussion, for the purpose of comments. And if there are senior researchers, experienced scholars, they may raise some issues based on which you may have to revise your paper and then send for publication. That's the difference.
Thank you, sir. I feel there is no more question from the participants. I'm
Hello,
going
sir.
toward the. Hello.
Hello, sir. I want to ask some question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Progress, sir.
I am Dr. Bhakre PD from Krishna Mahavidyalaya, Retribudru. Sir, you are listening me?
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, audible. You are audible.
Sir, assumption or hypothesis, whether it is compulsory or it is optional in the research.
Yes, sir. Sir, in fact, there is a lot of discussion on this. As a personal experience, I would support the formulation of hypothesis, because hypothesis has number of functions or number of roles to play, and one important role is it gives direction to research. There may be a number of factors, but hypothesis tells you what factor is, or based on hypothesis you decide which factors are more important and how to what extent you need to test them. So in that way, hypothesis helps you to guide your research in the very area of the topic. Statistical research, hypothesis is a must. So therefore, I would say better go with hypothesis. And please don't let us not enter. I'm to say there is debate, but the debate is unfounded. We have to go with hypothesis. Yes, sir. So from the topic, from problem, from questions, from objectives and hypothesis, your research gets streamlined, gets focused. That is why hypothesis is necessary. Yes, sir. Anybody next?
Patil sir,
Yes, sir.
hand raise unmute करू का?
Yes, yes. काय करा सर, आता टाइम हे होतोय, आपण थांबूया. मला वाटतं नेक्स्ट सेशनला दे विल आस्क.
Okay sir, okay sir.
Hello. Hello,
Yeah,
are you audible, sir?
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. This is Ruchi Tandon from Mumbai, Menon College. Sir, I would like to ask, I'm from mathematics, and if you have a question related to data collection, and we collect data on the basis of some paper. So how to validate the question paper, that whether we will get the correct answer or not? What is there any procedure of validation?
But I mean, social sciences, we conduct what is known as pilot survey or pre-testing. And based on that pilot survey and pre-testing, the questionnaire is validated. That's the only technique, madam.
Hello, Sundar sir, please ask us in next session. Otherwise, I will provide you the email and phone number of the Bagalkoti sir, because we are running late for the next session. So with the kind permission of all the participants, I am going to propose vote of thanks. Very good morning to all of you, Honorable Principal Dr. Mohan Rajmani Sahib, respected Bagalkoti sir, HRDC Director Sanju Sonavne sir, Sachin Surve sir, our IQC coordinator Dr. Kalyan Shetty sir, and dear participant. First of all, I welcome to all the participants for the next 6 days with nearly about 30 sessions. I am very much thankful to Dr. Bagalkoti sir for giving a resourceful lecture, which will be more beneficial to the participant for the designing or the selection of the problem. He spent valuable time with us. I am very much thankful to Dr. Bagalkoti sir. I am also thanks to Dr. Mohan Rajmani sir, our beloved principal. He provided guidelines for this FDP. He motivated us for the organizing such FDP national level event. I am very much thankful to Dr. Mohan Rajmani Sahib, principal of our college. I am also thanks to Dr. Kalyan Shetty sir, IQC coordinator, who given permission and guideline to our team for organizing FDP. Thank you, Dr. Kalyan Shetty sir. Furthermore, I am also thankful to Dr. Sanju Sonavne sir and Dr. Sachin Surve sir, the director and assistant director of HRDC respectively, for given permission and support to organizing such FDP. Lastly, I must thanks to all the participants across the country for giving a good response and joining on time. Thank you one and all for success of the first session. Thank you very much. Borse sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please continue